strong bond with one of the children. His name is Joseph, and he's about 10 years old. I first noticed him about a week into it. It sounds kind of bad that I first noticed one of the kids like a week along, but there's so many kids there that it was really hard to get to know all of them, and I was really nervous about that, like learning all their names and getting to know them. So the first day that I really started noticing Joseph, I had known that he was like a little bit quiet, and I wasn't sure why. But he did like a Michael Jackson moonwalk dance for me, and I thought it was really awesome, and I was like, wow, this kid can really dance. And he's like super quiet, yet he's really awesome. So I started to feel this strong connection because of that one day. That's like, I guess, really hard to explain in words. I still don't understand it. But I kind of just like went back the next day and asked him if he wanted to tutor with me. And he said yes, so we went up to one of the classrooms and I started teaching him math. And basically every day we would just go over the times tables because, so like I said, Joseph was 10 years old at the time, and he had been at the orphanage for a year. So he was at the age where they would usually test into the primary school, which is where they get their best formalized education. At the orphanage, they're kind of just learning the basics to get into the primary school. So I started teaching him math, and his English was getting better. And there was a little bit of a language barrier, but it was really easy for me to teach him math because it's kind of always the same. So after a few weeks of that, I started to notice that like I knew him very well and that he knew me very well. And he was just very different from the other kids. Like every time we would all get to the center, like all the kids would kind of run up to us and be really excited. But like Joseph would kind of like hold back and just like keep cool. And that was just like his character. That was like what he did. And then like kind of after a while I would notice that sometimes he would look really sad, and so like I would know to approach him and be like, would you like to color with me or something like that, and him knowing that it was just one person that wanted to color with him was like really, really special to him, so he would be like really excited after, which was really fun. So I remember one day we just colored together, like just me and him, and then one day I at the orphanage started drawing a picture of a monkey, and I said that like it was for him, and like just that made him really excited. So I think he was just one kid that had never gotten attention like of his own before, who really needed it. So so yeah, we just formed this really strong bond, and by the time when it was time for me to leave, that really strong bond made it 10 times more difficult to leave. So that was like really, really heartbreaking, having to say goodbye to him. He had asked me in a letter to be his sponsor, which was something that I was thinking about but couldn't really promise him because I like wasn't financially stable at all and couldn't just agree to pay $600 a year for him, so I didn't want to tell him that. So what happened was I had to leave without being able to tell him that I was even thinking about being a sponsor because it wouldn't be fair to him, which made it even harder to go. So it was really heartbreaking. We both cried. Most of the kids cried when we left. It was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. So when I got back, I actually experienced this thing called reverse culture shock. And it's the feeling of like disconnect from like the place that you're really connected to. So I obviously was really connected to Tanzania, and it was so far out of reach, and that was really hard to deal with. And so, especially having like such a strong connection with Joseph and him being so far away. And so that's when I talked to some of my family members who said that they really wanted to help me sponsor Joseph. And so collectively, we all contributed in some way money, and we raised $600 to sponsor him. And so I was able to submit that like in March or something, and I got back in February. So those couple months were really, really stressful because I was just trying to get everything together. I wasn't thinking about my classes. Luckily, I had English to write about it. But so once I made that payment and sent out my first letter to him, it was awesome. It was a really good feeling. And then I hadn't gotten my first letter until like the summertime, but it felt really good when I did get it, and it was awesome. And I'm going back in 2 weeks, and I'm really excited to see him. And David, the volunteer coordinator, told me that Joseph has a surprise for me, and I don't know what it is, but I'm freaking out. And so yeah, I still have a really strong connection to him, and I think that I'll probably be traveling to Tanzania for a good chunk of my life.